All right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. I actually wanted to do this personal DNA journey video before all the others, but it didn't quite work out like that. Sometimes it's just how it is. I wanted to kind of establish that first. I guess you kind of always want to kind of establish your identity, so to speak, so everyone can kind of get an idea of who I am, where I came from, and how I got to this point. I think that's important. Especially when you're coming from a position of where I'm coming from, speaking about the things that I'm speaking about, and with such great confidence and authority. So yeah, I think it's very important to kind of know, who I am, where I came from, and more importantly, how I got to this point. So here we are. Finally, the personal journey to my DNA results. I mean, as you can see from the picture, I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, and if any of you are familiar with Charleston, you know that actually Charleston is very important, and it was very important to the transatlantic slave trade, because Charleston is considered a slave port, and they say estimated about 75-80% of slaves came through in some form or fashion through Charleston, right? As a matter of fact, there's a place downtown Charleston called the Market, where they actually used to sell slaves. And now, you got blacks down there that make money. So, there's a lot of history there in Charleston. That's where I'm from. A lot of history that we don't necessarily care about or whatever, but I mean, it is what it is with the Civil War and all that. You know, but that's my roots, man. That's where I'm from. And so with that said, if you look at the rich history of Charleston, you'll see that to this day, my people still actually speak with what's considered a West Indian dialect, and that's because majority of the slaves that came through to Charleston were actually West Indian from Barbados. As a matter of fact, my forefather on my mother's side was from Barbados, right? And he came over as a slave and everything. Worked hard. He was actually able to purchase his freedom and bought some land out in what they call the country out in Smallville, out there in Gettysville and Somerville, South Carolina. So there's a lot of history, with my family and everything on that side. So I'm gonna deal with that because I'm actually a writer, as well, and I do some freelance writing for hub pages. I'm actually working on a couple books, and my life story is one of them. So I'm going to try to keep this as condensed as possible because it's just a lot, man. Truthfully, if I hadn't lived the life that I lived, I wouldn't have believed it, But I'm going to deal with that, and then my writings, I deal with different things, everything from human behavior to psychology, theology, a philosophical theology, astrology, as put forth by Enoch, and how the 12 tribes align with the 12 signs of the zodiac. Whole nother level right there, man. Whole nother level. But so yeah, I'm going to give you a real condensed version because I think it's important, to know, how I got here. All right. So let's go on and get this thing started. Here's my journey. Follow me now. I was born the middle child of three by my mother. I was born under the sign of Capricorn. And again, if you had the knowledge or of the 12 signs of the zodiac and how it scientifically relates to the 12 tribes of Israel, you would know why that was important. But anyway, not to veer off or go off on any tangents. I'm gonna stick, keep this strictly with my personal journey. So as a child, I was very inquisitive, man. I was what you would call, I was a very bright kid. Things came really natural to me. I started reading at the age of 4. It was just something about me, man. I was a very, very illuminated child. I was quiet. I didn't say much. I was very observant. And real good grades, man. In school, I was on honor roll. Good student, man. This like things came easy to me. I knew the answers to stuff, and I didn't know how and why. I would just know things, period, and I would say stuff from a little dude, and grown ups would be like, "Yo, why you say that?" Whatever, and I'm like, "I don't know, I just know this or whatever," and I just was very wise for a youngster. And what's crazy is that I had the ability to kind of mesh with everybody. I walked among everybody, man. It's like I was a cool dude. I was a cool little cat, man. It's like I hung out with the dudes that didn't get good grades, in school. But those were my homeboys. Those were my friends, man. And it's like, people would look at me like, why are you hanging with them? Or why you like I didn't belong or something. I'm like, nah, these are my friends. So I had the uncanny ability to kind of blend in with everybody, man. The little girls liked me and everything. I was a fly little cool dude, and the dudes respected me. And come to find out, just like the Bible and science says, the apple don't fall far from the tree. That's what the Bible says, right? So, and to come to find out, my father was the same way. He was very respected amongst his peers, and he was a ladies' man. I mean, no doubt about it. The ladies loved him, and he took every advantage of it, and that's what it is on that. But like I said, as a middle child, I was interested in music. I was very naturally gifted with music. I mean, sports. You name it. I read a lot. Um, it's almost like coming up. I can go through so many instances where something happened where it's like it was almost like a miracle. I'm going to share this quick little story with you all. An incident that happened when I was about 9, and just something I never even told my mother about. But I had an older brother, and of course, me being a younger brother, I always wanted to follow behind the big brother. That's just what it was. And we was skateboarding, and then we was out there, having fun and skateboarding and everything like that. And my older brother, he darts across the street, he skateboard across the street. So, me not even thinking, I'm a little kid. I'm following him. So I just dart right behind him, no looking for no cars or nothing. And I literally got hit by a car. I mean, it was so bad, man. Like, I mean, people were screaming and scared and crying. And I mean, it was like, and I'm sitting on the hood of this car, like, man, I just got hit by a car. I mean, they was like, my God, baby, you all right? All this and that. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I mean, not a scratch on me. I didn't hurt nothing. That car, like, boom, I got hit. My brother was like, he was bugged out. He was just like, he like, yo, man, you all right, man? Like, everybody was all excited. And I was like, yeah, man, why y'all tripping? Ain't nothing happened to me. Like, I need this. To be honest with you, it's like I didn't even feel it. But I got hit. To this day. I never told my mother that, because if I'd have told her I got hit by a car, that would have been it for the skateboard. So I already know what it was on that. So, like, nah, I never told her that story. But I shared that because it's almost like I was always protected. I was always protected. And I don't know. I can't explain it. But it's like nothing could hurt me. Like, I don't know. It's just weird, man. And it's like I had this little force field, this little hedge around me, man. Even as a little dude, like don't worry about nothing. Ain't nobody gonna touch you. Nobody gonna do nothing to you. And I felt that, but not on the level of I feel it now, looking back on it in retrospect. But that's what it was. So I kind of wanted to share that. So that was kind of like my childhood, man. I love to get into the things little boys got into, the sports. I was into drawing, and like I said, I read a lot. Music. I would sing, I would rap, I would write. I was always a writer. And that's what interests me. I didn't play with toys. I didn't play with little toy soldiers and little race cars. None of that interests me at 8, 9 years old. I didn't do that. I was a different breed. I definitely was cut from a different cloth, and I knew this at an early age, to the point where I think when I was like 10 or 11, I started calling myself the chosen one, and I really honestly didn't know why. But it was manifested to me then and revealed much later why. Being from the South, without question, it's the Bible Belt, or the Southeast region of the United States of America. As a child, living with grandmother and everything like that, we were definitely required to go to Sunday school. And, we kind of teetered in between being, Baptist and Methodist. Truthfully, I didn't know the difference. I just know that I went to Sunday school on some days, and I'm sorry, some Sundays I would get to go and drink the little grape juice. You know what I'm saying? And that was just my highlight right there, to go, going on a communion Sunday, getting that grape juice. As a little kid, that's just how I looked at it. I didn't really know the difference, but having a southern upbringing, we went to church. My grandmother, that's just what it was. It wasn't no choice. We had no choice in the matter. We went to church. So that said, I read a lot. I was really intrigued with Jesus. I went through a phase where I wanted to read everything about Jesus, and it really, truthfully, had nothing to do with like church. But I was led to just read up on this man, and I was just fixated, on Jesus. And I was getting older. I was like 12, 13, 14 at this point, right? So fast forward, I'm older now, right? I graduated high school. Now I'm in San Diego. Okay. And San Diego, there's a lot of different, there's people from all over the United States in San Diego. It's a military town or whatever. And that's where I met my man Jeff. He went by the name of Knowledge, and he's from Brooklyn, right? And he turned me on to the 5% Nation, Gods and Earths. Now, when I heard the ideologies on the 5% Nation, it kind of blew my mind. I mean, it's things I had never heard. The basic doctrine of the 5% Nation of Gods and Earth, or Islam, is I self, Lord and Master. That equals Islam. The black man is God, and we create ourselves in the triple stage of darkness, and this and that. And the thing about me is, I was always, if I committed to something, I was totally sold out to it, and I wanted to master it, and I was what they called back then, Almighty God. I mastered 120 degrees of knowledge, 120 degrees of wisdom, 120 degrees of understanding, 360 degrees of born my cipher complete. I was with that. You couldn't tell me nothing, So, I adopted that ideology. I was a 5%er, and that's what it was. And I represented it to the fullest. And, one day me and Knowledge was building, and I just kind of just said one day, I said, man, you know what? I'm not really feeling this in my spirit no more, man. I was like, I don't believe this. And he just kind of started laughing, like, why you say that, God? Whatever. And I was just like, I don't know, something about it, man. I'm just not feeling it. Well, he was like, well, listen, at the end of the day, man, he's like, I self, Lord and Master, you do what you feel, is real to you, at the end of the day. So, I was like, cool, but thinking back in retrospect, I really do think I was supposed to get something from that. Because keep in mind, man, the Most High knew who I was before I even came here, and He knew I was going to go on this journey. And I think what I got from the 5% Nation of Gods and Earths is that one thing about it is that they always come. They want to come right and exact. They want to show and prove, and they deal with things the way it is, not the way it should be, not the way it could be, but they dealing what it is, reality. And to this day, man, I still take those ideologies right there in life, because those are life ideologies. It have nothing to do with religion or doctrine. Before something comes out of my mouth, I'm going to make sure that I do the due diligence in the research, so it's going to be right and exact, and I'm going to show and prove every single time, man. That's just how I am, and I could definitely look to the 5% Nation to see where I kind of cultivated that mindset. Some might say, well, it was already in me, but maybe it was, but I know that that during my journey of along the 5% Nation, that really cultivated and brought that out of me, that I still embrace, to this day. So I would never disrespect, the young 5%ers or the 5%ers out there. Because, life is a constant evolution, but at the same time, you're only gonna get what you're supposed to get. You know what I'm saying? Me, I was constantly growing. I was constantly evolving, because the Most High, He had something else for me to do. So this was just a part of my journey. Follow me now. So now I'm kind of taking somewhat of a hiatus, from the 5% Nation. And one day I literally got a knock on my door. And it was a dude that I knew, from way back, and hadn't talked to him or seen him in a while. He literally just showed up out of nowhere, knocking on my door, and I opened the door, man, and I knew him as Rick. When I opened the door, he was Sunni down, man. Kufi. I mean, he was Sunni down, And I was like, hey, what's going on, man, or whatever like that. He came on in and we started talking and everything, and he was like, yeah, what's going on with you, Ak? And I told him, I was just kind of chilling, whatever like that. I told him I was just kind of taking a hiatus, from the 5% Nation. He was like, well, listen, pretty much, the 5% Nation came from the Nation of Islam, and they all bastardizations of Orthodox Islam or Sunni Islam. Why don't you come down to the mosque, Ak, and check it out and everything, and maybe it's like, you might want to get into Al Islam. So at that point I was feeling what he was saying in my spirit at that moment in time. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna come down to the masjid, and check it out. But in retrospect, the Most High was behind it the whole time. So now I'm led to go to the mosque with the brother who I know as Rick, but actually he's going by the name Akil Rashid, and there's a lot of things that struck me about the mosque when I first got there, because I actually was never inside one. But the first thing that really stuck out to me was the fact that there were different races of Muslims, praying together. That really stuck out to me. I had never really seen nothing like that. And like I said, I know now in retrospect, the Most High wanted me to get something from all of these things along this journey. And I, by my own admission, I wasn't as knowledgeable, or I didn't know a lot back then as I do now. I didn't know a lot of the history of the Arab Muslims, or really Islam or anything like that. I just, at the time, I felt in my spirit that that's where I needed to be. But I took a lot from Islam, which is why it really bothers me and angers me when I hear so-called Hebrews, disrespecting Allah. Let me tell you something. Allah is not some rock god, okay? Allah is the Arabic name for the Most High. The Most High, the Creator of the heavens and the earth, and Allah is the same entity. The fact that you call yourself the head of some organization, or leading some group, and don't know that's troublesome. And that should tell the people that follow you something. The fact that you don't know that. The fact that you would let people so-called under you to disrespect the Most High. Listen, He is not pleased with that. You're not making fun of Muslims. You're not making fun of Islam. You are disrespecting the Most High. The Most High had already said that He was going to make Ishmael the leader of a great nation. He would not align Himself with something like that if people were associating talking about He's some rock god and all this kind of just foolishness, just ignorant stuff I hear out there. But anyway, I digress. A lot I took from Islam. Number one, I like the fact that first of all, I had never even seen like anyone, before you even go in the mosque, you have to do what they call an ablution. You have to literally wash your mouth, wash your feet, your hands. You have to cleanse yourself before you go into the presence, man, of the Most High. That really stuck out to me. It really did. It was impressive. Another thing that stood out to me with Islam is the fact that they prayed separately from the women. At first I thought, oh, maybe they on some segregation type stuff. No, it ain't nothing like that. Your mind is supposed to be on the Most High, right? A lot of guys today in church, in Christian church, they looking at sister so and so, they got the tight dress on, or so and so looking at her butt or looking at her breast. And Islam, you go to a masjid, nah, your mind ain't knowing what sister so and so is wearing, because you can't even see sister so and so. They pray separately. That impressed me. That stood out to me. The actual worship part of them actually going, like, literally bowing down in the presence of the Most High, like praising Him. You understand? That stood out to me. I'd never seen the Most High worship like that. I had so many questions, man, that Islam actually answered for me in the Quran. Like, I always wondered, what happened, why Adam got kicked out. See, back then I had no idea. I didn't know about the book of Jasher. I didn't know about the books of Enoch. I didn't know about none of that. Okay, so I'm basically a novice. The Quran taught me what happened, or told me what happened, and why Satan or Satanael or Shaitan, as he's called in Islam, was kicked out is because the Most High had created Adam from clay, and he was proud of his creation, and he wanted Satan to bow before Adam, and Satan refused because he felt he was better than Adam, because he said that the Most High made him from fire, and he felt that he was better. So at that point, he was disfellowshipped. He was kicked out. And then he said, and then he told God, well, listen, at this point, I'm going to attack man from the left, from the right, from the front, from the back. So before that, I never knew what happened. No one could ever answer that question. So the Quran answered that question for me. So, that was that. And my first Ramadan, I had never fasted in my life. To this day, that first Ramadan, it taught me passion. It taught me how to kind of go without and put my mind on prayer and the Most High. And that Ramadan, man, it was tough. But to this day, it taught me discipline. And that's why I said I get upset, man, and I get angry when I hear so-called Hebrews talking ignorant and saying dumb stuff. Because apparently, man, these groups, man, don't know what the hell they're talking about, man. It's just ridiculous, man. But like I said, looking back in retrospect, I was supposed to get something from all of this, and that's what I got, from Islam, man. And it was at the time, like I said, that's where I was, and that's where I felt that I needed to be. But for the record, I have no problems with Islam, none whatsoever. The problems I have are with the some of the Arab Muslims and their attitudes or mentality, toward my people. I'm not. I'm totally aware of the history. I'm totally aware that Arab Muslims enslaved, my people. I'm not even gonna get into that on this personal DNA journey. But I just wanted to state that for the record. I have no problem, with Islam. Okay, I know that it's a sanctioned religion by the Most High for Arabs. But make no mistake, the Quran, the Holy Quran, is a great book, and that book is for mankind. And I believe that with everything in me. And with that said, I digress. So now I went to the masjid with Brother Keel a few times, and a few times I actually went on my own. Attended a few Jumas on Friday and everything. So this went on for about a month and a half or so. And like I said, I felt led. So finally, I went ahead and I took my Shahada, which is basically like it's almost like a kind of reaffirmation or like a rebirth, kind of spiritual rebirth, where you recite this recitation, and it's almost like you start anew. When you take this Shahada. So now I'm full-fledged Sunni Muslim. I'm offering Salat 5 times a day. I'm going to Juma on Fridays. I'm taking part of Ramadan. And at one point, I even changed my name. I was going by, well, not changed it legally, but I was actually going by Ahmed, Ahmed Shakir. But of course, in Arabic, it's Ahmed. But me being a cool, urban cat, I was like, well, I'm gonna be Ahmed, But I'd even, was going by Ahmed. I was, Sunni down like my man, Brother Akil. I just felt like that's what I needed to be. So, as I've said on many occasions, anything I commit to, I'm totally sold out to it. And this was no different. I accepted the responsibility of being a Sunni Muslim, as they say, all day, every day. So, let's fast forward. One night I go home, right? Like normal day, normal evening, normal night. Went to sleep. And I had a dream. Now, when I talk about this, I'm very reluctant to go into detail because I just don't feel it's time to release everything into the airwaves. And I know there's a lot of people who are not of Christ, who are not of the Most High, listening to this. So But it's very important to the journey. It's very important to the story in terms of discovering who I am. And I had a visitation from the man who many call Jesus, who some call Yahweh Shai, some call, Yeshaya, some call Yeshua. I mean, he's called by many names, as is his father. But at the time, I only knew him by one name. And this is important because I referred to him as Jesus when he came to me. And he responded, and he called me by my name. He didn't call me Ahmed. Like I said, that's very important. He didn't call me Ahmed. He called me by my birth name, the name that was legally mine when he referred to me, when he answered me. And I'll give a brief description of the dream, because I was never the same since. But basically, in the dream, I came literally, face to face with Satan, and I mean, literally. I could describe him, like what he looked like, and it was him. It wasn't one of his minions. It was him. So I don't know why I was so special that he actually showed up, but it was him. And I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of scared, and I was running in the dream and everything, and I was calling out for the Most High to help me, because I felt like at any moment he was just going to probably swoop down or whatever and just get me or whatever. I don't know, but I'm running, I'm running, and next thing you know, I felt myself. I was like I was being elevated, I was being lifted up. I was running, I'm running, and next thing you know, I'm in the heavens, and I'm floating in heaven, and I'm laid out, and I can't. I felt this sense of peace, man. It's a feeling I can't even describe. I've never felt it before, and I haven't felt it since. But I felt this extreme feeling of peace as I'm floating in the heavens, and and I felt these hands on my head, and I was trying to turn around to see who it was, to see who had their hands, on my head, and he wouldn't let me turn around to see his face. But I felt his hands on my head as he was guiding. And I felt so safe and peaceful. And so I just kind of took a deep breath, and I said, I love you, Jesus. And he said, I love you too. And he called me by my name. And that was that. I'm just gonna end it there, man. Like I said, I'm very reluctant. I'm very careful when I tell this. I haven't told it a lot, but because a lot of people out there listening, and I just I'm gonna leave it there. And the next day, man, it was just it's my world was never the same. It's like he basically came and got me at my lowest, my most vulnerable time, when I asked the Most High to send someone to help me. He didn't send Prophet Muhammad. He didn't send Moses. He didn't send Enoch. He didn't send none of those great men of God. When it all came down to it, he sent his son, the Messiah, to me to help me and let me know that I was safe and I was good. And that was my first visitation from a being from heaven. But as you all will see, he certainly won't be the last, as I continue on this journey to discovering me. My second visitation was actually by the Holy Spirit. When I accepted him in the dream, it's like we were in this room, and he didn't say anything, but it's like I knew he wanted to know if I was going to accept him or not. And I said, yes, Lord. And as soon as I said that, it's like the Holy Spirit ascended upon me, and I was just like bouncing around the room, but not in a way like to hurt me or anything, but just the power of the Holy Spirit when I said, yes, Lord, and it overtook me. I can't even explain that. But that was my second actual visitation from a being from heaven, was by the Holy Spirit. Now my third visitation was actually my first angelic visitation. Now in this dream, I was in a room. It seemed like I'm always in a room. It seems like I don't know what's up with that. I don't know if that has any bearing on the visitations. But in the dream, I was in this room, and I seen my spirit was upset, and I asked God, I asked the Most High, I said, Father, please send Michael. Now, before I had said Michael in the dream at that moment, I really had never thought to even to call an angel by name. But for some reason, at that moment, my spirit man knew to call Michael. And I said, Father, I said, please send Michael. And when I said that, it's like I went to the window and I looked out and I literally saw Michael descending from heaven. I saw him coming to, like he like the Most High sent him to me when I asked him. And I'm not even gonna lie. His face, it wasn't it wasn't human. It wasn't inhuman. It was weird to describe. But he looked angry. He looked like mad. I don't know. It was frightening almost, because and I mean the light was so bright as he was coming, and I ran, and I dropped to my knees, man. I just started praying, and I was praying in a tongue and in a language that I did not know. I was just praying, man, and the next thing you know, he was in the room, and I wanted to turn around and look at him, but I was just too afraid. But I saw the you know how when you see the shadow, you know, it bounces off a wall or whatever, and I saw his wings, man. I saw it, like, you know, going back and forth, and he was in the room, and he didn't speak, you know, he didn't say anything, and you know, and I was praying and everything, and I felt this pressure on my shoulder. You know, it almost felt like he was, you know, like something was sitting on my shoulders, but actually that was his wing comforting me. And I'm just gonna leave that one there too. That was my third visitation, and my first angelic visitation from the Archangel Michael. So, you know, there I was, you know, full-fledged Sunni Muslim, practicing Salat 5 times a day, Jummah on Fridays, reading the Quran every day as much as possible. And at my lowest, when I was at my most vulnerable, like I said, and I called out to be helped, the Most High sent the Messiah. And, you know, when I discerned that it was him, you know, that let me know and see that the spirit of discernment, even in the dream realm, is still very much operating, you know. And you know, like I said, that peace was like a peace I had never experienced before, you know, in my life. And his voice, you know, his voice was like no other I had ever heard. It was just, his voice was like no other, you know. And you know, I tell you what, if at that moment, if I did not believe in the Messiah, that dream made me a believer, because it was actually, it was almost like it was more than a dream. It's like, it was almost like he wanted to let me know that, you know, I belong to his fold. I'm part of his flock. No disrespect to Islam, no disrespect to the Quran. You know, that's great for the Arab people and everything, their religion or whatever, but that's not who I was. So when the Messiah came to visit me, and then, you know, the Archangel Michael, and I got to say this, like, I'm not even going to lie. Listen, I have no idea that Michael basically took Satan's place as the head of all the angels in heaven. Basically, he's the Most High's top angel. When I asked the Most High to send Michael, that was my spirit man talking. I didn't know I didn't know that in the natural. My spirit knew it, right? So for the Most High to send Michael upon my request, first the Messiah came. Well, first the Messiah came, then the Holy Spirit. Then I asked him to send Michael, and he sent him. I'm getting all these visitations. I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. Who am I? That begged the question in my spirit and in my mind, my conscious mind. Who am I? You know, it's like, and why are all these things happening? And this is the extremely condensed version. Keep in mind, Okay, like there's people that profess to be of God who has never heard Messiah's voice. The Messiah has never appeared to. They've never had an angelic visitation. So all that to say this: why me? Who am I to you? You know, and I literally petitioned the Most High to answer these questions. I wanted to know who am I, and what's my purpose, and you know, and that's what set me on the journey now. So we're going into the next phase, which involves me taking the DNA test, tracing it, uncovering the truth, and discovering who I am. Okay, so here we are. Now, you know, just like any other, you know, so-called American family or whatever, everyone has an oral history or stories about, oh, well, you know, your great-great-grandmother was Indian, or, you know, or whatever the case may be. Just about all families have them, right? But until DNA came along, you know, pretty much oral history was just that. It was just oral history, just, you know, things that got passed down, and sometimes things that got passed down weren't necessarily totally factual, and sometimes it was completely factual. It's just, you just never really know. But DNA takes the guesswork out of everything, like I said in the very first video that I put out. It really does. Now, me personally, you know, I have a very rich and diverse ancestry, really on both sides. You know, my mom, like I said, my forefather on my mom's side was actually West Indian. He was from Barbados. All right. And we also had I think some Blackfoot Indian on my mom's side as well. So, but the thing is, when you're testing for patrilineal, you know, lineage, everything is through the father. You know, we just you know, we can't get around that. You know, so with that said, on my father's side, you know, I was always told, oh yeah, you know, we you know, black Indian and Irish, you know. Even the last name, you know, is Irish, you know. So I'm like, wow, okay, black Indian and Irish. And if you look at my family on my father's side, clearly we have a very pronounced, quote unquote, mixed look. You know, the light skin complexion, you know, the green eyes, different color eyes, and all this kind of stuff, whatever. So, you know, on the surface, you would think that my family on my father's side would be more, quote unquote, European, right? By the features. But again, remember when I said in the second video, genetics and science transcends what a person looks like. And guess what? My family is proof positive of that. Because if you looked at my family on my father's side, you would swear that we had way more European blood in us than we do. So now keep that in mind. So with that said, here we are. I petition the Most High. You know, who am I? Who am I really? Who am I to you? Why is all these visitations happening to me and everything, right? So I had to go through a couple different companies, spent close to really $1,000, man. But again, you know, because there's a lot of bunk stuff out there, and you know, I wasn't falling for no okey dokes. Just wasn't going for it. Sometimes, you know, it's you know, you get what you pay for, right? And you know, there's some bunk companies out there. There's some companies out there, DNA companies out there who aren't legit and everything. So I kind of had to, you know, I had to go through a few blind spots real quick. But you know, ultimately, I was able to get what I needed. You know, and I finally wanted to by my blood and by my genetic makeup, I wanted to find out who I am, what's my ancestral makeup, and more importantly, what's my Y DNA haplotype. So, the moment of truth, my personal DNA results of my ancestral composition. And I have to say this again, your DNA transcends or supersedes whatever you may look like on the surface. And as you can see, first and foremost, you know, I give all praise, you know, to the Most High, God of Israel, you know, Abraham, Jacob, and Isaac, you know, for the revelation, you know, and basically, you know, answering my prayers and answering my questions. You know, here it is, black people, you know what I'm saying, they can't lie. I told you all. It's in our blood, man. You know, it's in our blood. You know, before I actually embarked on this journey, on this whole DNA journey, you know that 13% Middle Eastern, man, that tells you straight up, man, I'm Semitic. All right, all that ham stuff, that's a lie, and I proved it, and I showed and proved, man, by my blood. I told you all. You can say whatever, right? That don't make it true, but it's right there in their face, man. I'm 78% Nigerian, Yoruba. I'm a descendant, direct descendant of the Yoruban Jews, man. And there's a history with that. There's a rich history with that. The Yoruban Jews are from the tribe of Ephraim, or the tribe of Ephraim, right? Ain't nothing to be afraid of, black people. It's in our blood, man. Our blood backs up scripture. The so-called African American, the Negro, the E1B1A, are actually the lost Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of. It's right there, man, in their face, man. There it is. You know, before I embarked on this journey and embracing this truth, that 13% Middle Eastern wouldn't have meant nothing to me. I wouldn't have understood it. I just would have looked past it. You see, but that's how it is when you ignorant to stuff. You understand? I didn't know, but the Most High revealed it to me. I asked and He gave it to me. He showed it to me. Right there. It's proof in my blood. Alright? This is what it is. This isn't exclusive to just me. This is you looking at this. This is you listening to this video. This is you, the Negro. You understand? This is not exclusive to just me, Alright? You know, get the DNA done. Like I said, preferably an autosomal one. That's going to be a more, you know, accurate and just in-depth DNA, man. It's AUTOSOMAL, autosomal. And I took that Y DNA haplotype, which I told y'all from day one, which is the most important thing to trace that lineage. And that E1B1A7A, that's the Yoruba Jews, man. Alright? And we're going into the next segment, and I'm going to give you the history on the Yoruba Jews. But I researched it. I took that E1B1A7A and I researched that like there was no tomorrow, and found my people, man. You understand? I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. It was emotional. I ain't even gonna lie to you, to finally see, you know, who I am. Like, to see it. Like, this is me. You know, I seen my life. It's like looking at your life flash in front of you or something. Like, you understand? Like, I finally had an identity. I finally had something I can hold on to, not just no blind belief, or not just I finally had something I can say, yes, it's in my blood, man. This is me. It gave me an identity. It gave me a sense of pride. It gave me a sense of empowerment. You understand? That helped me to speak with the authority that I speak with today. That helped me to teach what I'm teaching now today. I'm living, breathing proof, and I'm not the only one. But I need to get more of you, or more of the lost sheep, on board with this thing, man. We are the lost sheep of Israel. You understand? I know who I am. Like I said, now more than ever, I know who I am now. It all makes sense. The Messiah coming to me, the Archangel Gabriel coming to me, the Holy Spirit coming to me embarking on this long journey to get here to where I am today. And I just thank the Most High so much, man. You know, I love my people, man. I want to wake up as many of y'all as I can. That's my intention. That's my heart. And there it is, man. Boom. All right, now this right here, I wanted to take an opportunity to actually use a screenshot of one of the companies, DNA companies, that I use to obtain my Y DNA haplogroup. Now, so you all can literally see what I've been telling you. Like you have to be really careful with some of these companies. Now, case in point. Now look at this. Okay, he says the paternal line E1B1A7A. Okay, no worries there. Right, scroll on down. It says E1B1A7A is a subgroup of E1B1A. Okay, we got that. No problems, no worries there. Now, let's kind of move on over to the right. It says paternal haplogroups are families of Y chromosomes that all traces back to a single mutation at a specific place and time. By looking at the geographic distribution of these related lineages, we learn how our ancient male ancestors migrated throughout the world. Yeah, sounds wonderful. Then it goes on to try to tell me that haplogroup E1B1A, a subgroup of E, age 20,000 years. Region, Africa. Now pause. Now let's go back over to the left. Let's scroll down a little bit. It says the E1B1A branch of haplogroup E predominates in Africa south of the Sahara, where it spread about 4,000 years ago in conjunction with the expansion of Bantu-speaking people out of Western Africa. Now, do you see that? You see that? You see the disparity? Now, on the one hand, they're telling me that the haplogroup E is 20,000 years, but then in the same breath, they're telling me that it spread about 4,000 years ago. Huh? And in the last video, I already destroyed that lie that our haplogroup started in northern or even eastern Africa. As a matter of fact, our DNA trails off when it gets to those regions, and I proved that. All right. See, this is what I was telling you. See, you see the blatant disparity, but see, the average person who doesn't know anything about genetics or haplogroups and haplotypes and all that kind of stuff, they wouldn't even pick up on that. They would just say, oh, okay, well, yeah, I'm haplogroup E, I'm sub-Saharan African. Nah, man, they'll listen. Don't accept whatever there's just anything that they'll just give you, and that's my whole point, right? I already killed all of that. And those Bantu speakers that they're talking about, that Bantu expansion, I'm gonna let the cat out the bag real quick. I'm gonna deal with it exclusively and extensively on the next video. But those Bantus, contrary to what a lot of ignorance that says out there, whatever, are actually Hebrews. The Bantus, that Bantu expansion was actually a Hebrew expansion. And yes, they are Negroes. We are descended from the Bantus, and they are E1B1A and E1B1A, 7A and 8 and all the subgroups of E, just like we are, because they are Hebrews too. And I deal with that extensively on the next video. Please believe me. When they said that in that Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, not the Negroes, they were speaking about the Bantus. Okay, and we are all from that seed, from that whole expansion thing. Yeah, that's all us, right? So they give you some half truths mixed with some falsehood and some misinformation. But I just wanted to kind of use that as a teaching point to show you what I was talking about. See, this is the kind of things that some of these companies will do, and if you don't know what you're looking at, if you don't know what you're reading, you'll fall for it, But no, we're not. Like I said in the last video, we're definitely not going for the banana in the tailpipe. All right, on to the next 7. We're gonna get ready to close this up. All right, we're running up on the last segment of the presentation, and I want to thank everyone for watching and taking an interest in these videos that I'm doing, and hopefully you find them very informative, encouraging, and inspirational. All right, now, once I was able to establish my Y DNA haplotype of E1B1A7A, now came the process of actually researching that haplotype and finding out who were these people, or who were these people mostly. All right. So with my research, I found that obviously there's a percentage of us here in America. There's a percentage of the E1B1A7A kind of sprinkled without. But the majority, by like 92% of the E1B1A7A is in Yoruba, the Yoruba Nigerians. Boom. So when I found out there was the Yoruba Jews that represented the most of us, of the E1B1A7A, then I was able to make that connection. I was like, okay, these are my peoples, right? So at that moment is when it all started coming together, man. I got that feeling inside like, okay, I finally found my people. I have an identity now, right? So we took that, and I found out the history of the Yoruba Jews. And this is what I found. The Yoruba Jews, also known as B'nai Ephraim, or the children of Ephraim. All right, it says the B'nai Ephraim, or the children of Ephraim, from Nigeria, live among the Yoruba nationalities. Their oral history tells that the B'nai Ephraim people came from Morocco after the Jews were banished from the Iberian Peninsula sometime after 1492. Now, here's that linguistic proof of our migration. It says they speak a dialect that is mixed of Moroccan Arabic, Yoruba, and Aramaic. They are known by the Yoruba people as the Imo Yokaim, or strange people. Unlike other African Israelite communities in Nigeria, the B'nai Ephraim have the Torah, portions of which they keep in their sanctuaries. How about that? Those are my peoples. Now of note, the tribe of Ephraim. When we ended up in Morocco, and I definitely go into this in the next video, but I kind of want to touch on it because I'm talking about the Yoruba Jews, the tribe of Ephraim, so it's relevant, right? But the Assyrian deportation. You know, there's a big fallout from that. See, what people don't understand is that with the tribes of Ephraim, Manasseh, and Gad, there was a whole bunch of like smaller Israelite tribes within those tribes. See, a lot of people don't know that. They think when you say tribe of Ephraim, you're thinking, okay, specific people and the tribe of Gad. Specific. No, there was like a loose confederation of several tribes. See, and that's why my theory is that's why we have all these different subgroups of haplogroup E, because all of these subgroups represent all of the different tribes that we come from the 12 tribes of Israel. Makes sense, right? Yeah, it makes plenty of sense, because if there are a bunch of smaller tribes, then that means, of course, that they're going to be subgroups of the bigger group. But it means that we're all related still, though. You know, subgroups don't mean that we're not related. It just means that we come from different lines within that tribe or within that group. That's all that means. But there it is there. The B'nai Ephraim, the children of Ephraim. Right? So, with that, this concludes my journey. All right? And, you know, it was one hell of a journey, man, and it's still going on. You know, it really is. I just sincerely want to thank everybody for the support, for the encouragement, you know, for the inboxes, the messages in the Facebook community, just everyone sharing the videos. I ask that you please continue to share these videos, because there's still a lot of lies and a lot of misconceptions and falsehoods out there. We gotta stump it out, man. And you know, we gotta get the real messages to our people, right? And you know, I'm gonna keep coming with these videos, man. Like I said, the next one is gonna be a doozy. You know, it's gonna be pretty comprehensive, but definitely informative. And you know, I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna tie all the loose ends together. You know, God willing. You know, but again, I want to thank everybody, and I want to bid everybody shalom. And make sure you you know, share this video and tell everyone about, you know, Dr. Yashua ben Ephraim. All right? All right.